Eddie Hearn versus Frank Warren, Matchroom versus Queensberry Promotions. Who will come out on top on December 22nd? They both have great fights to put on. Josh Warrington versus Carl Frampton, and Dylan White versus Derek Chisora, number 2. The much anticipated rematch. I think that the better technical fight will be Carl Frampton and Josh Warrington, but the all-out brawl, the actual fight, will be Derek Chisora and Dylan White. Whereas Josh Warrington versus Carl Frampton is more of a boxing match than an actual proper all-out fight where they're going to just go toe-to-toe and slug it. That could happen in that fight, we don't know. But from our perspective at the moment, what we know is going to happen is that in the Dylan White versus Derek Chisora rematch, it is going to be the 13th round of the first fight. They are not going to waste any time. They both want to hit each other and hit them with their best shots and get them out there as quick as they can. I think Dylan White will be going for the knockout this time because he couldn't stop Derek Chisora last time. And also Derek Chisora will be going for the knockout as well because he nearly had Dylan White out there in the last round. Dylan White seems to have a drop-off point in the last round where if he gets caught and caught well, then he struggles. Then I suppose he's a heavyweight, and heavyweights do carry obviously a lot of weight. And once you get hit and hurt and tired, it's very hard to stay on your feet and have strong legs underneath you once you've been hit that hard. Because we saw in Derek Chisora's last fight how hard he actually hits. He knocked Carlos Takam out. No one has really done that to Carlos Takam other than Alexander Povetkin. And even then, it was 10 rounds of a hard-fought fight. Derek Chisora had him out of there quicker than that. He done what even Anthony Joshua couldn't do. Obviously, Carlos Takam had a different game plan in with AJ. He didn't want to get hit. He was riding shots and keeping his chin tucked in. Whereas against Derek Chisora, he was more open and coming forward. He didn't want to take a single step back in that fight. So obviously that played into Derek Chisora's hands a little bit. But of course, I'm not taking anything away from Derek Chisora. He won that fight fair and square. And he put in one of the best performances of his life. That is why he's getting this rematch. This is what warrants it, really. Because he had quite a poor run of form, really. He lost to Caballol in Monaco, which was a terrible fight. I mean, he couldn't expect to be winning that fight. He came back with an unknown opponent and knocked him out. And then the Carlos Takam fight. And he's shown what he's really, really made of in that fight. So, I mean, Derek Chisora has great momentum going in this fight, coming off the Takam win. And so does Dylan White coming off the Parker win. So, I mean, that is going to be a great fight. But if you're a boxing fan, a fan of the technical art of boxing, then the obvious choice is Carl Frampton and Josh Warrington, because that is more of a technical fight. They both can have to use their experience, or what experience they have up to this point. Josh Warrington came through a tough test in Selby, and he had to really dig deep in that fight, and he did, and he prevailed. He is now the champion, and Carl Frampton is obviously a great fighter. We know this from the past fights he's had, but he's coming up against a very tough opponent in Josh Warrington. He's taking on the champion. If I'm honest, I see that fight going similar in the later rounds. I think that it will be a boxing match for the first 6 to 8 rounds, and then by that point, one of them is going to be behind and need a knockout, so they're going to go all guns blazing to try and take the other one out. I think that Carl Frampton will be the one who outboxes Josh Warrington to start with, but I think Josh Warrington will come strong in the end. That is what I believe. But, I mean, as to which one you should choose, that is entirely up to you. You have to look at the card as well and see what's on the undercard, which fighters you want to see. Obviously, if you want an all-out slugfest, then Derek Chisora, Dylan White is your best bet. But if you want a great technical fight with possibly a bit of a slugfest towards the end, then Josh Warrington versus Carl Frampton is your fight. Also, like I said, look on the undercard. There are some great fighters on the undercard and some great prospects coming through that you can watch now. And then in maybe a year's time, you can see them taking on European title fights and possibly in world title fights by that point. Also, we now know that Tom Little and David Price will be fighting on the undercard of Dylan White versus Derek Chisora. That's a great fight. Tom Little is a good fighter. He has fast hands, and David Price, you never know what you're going to get with that guy. He can knock someone out, he can be knocked out, he's an exciting fighter. That is why people are still interested to watch him. Yes, he has been very unlucky, and he said himself he is almost like the nearly man. But, I mean, he could come through against Tom Little. I wouldn't want to write Tom Little off. I think he is very, very determined, and I think he's at the point in his career where he needs a big win, and that is what he is trying to achieve by taking on David Price. So, what do you guys think? Which fight will you be watching, and why? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please also like, share and subscribe to the channel Crunch Boxing and Sport.